Hey everybody, welcome back. We have a new episode of the Purposed Apartment Podcast, and I just want to say it's good to be back. We have a very special guest today. So
you're going to be a special guest, huh?
Yeah, special guest.
You made fun of me for the last time.
Hey, you said special friend, okay?
Oh yeah. Dang it! I just brought. Oh shoot.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Hey, dude, let's roll that clip.
No.
We're gonna roll that clip.
You're gonna have to add that one in because I'm not.
I'm gonna add that.
Okay,
in, yeah.
Sounds good. So now you just saw that. Yes, I did say that, and I totally forgot until this moment. That is the joys of being a dad where your kids like to burn you. So, hey, anyway, I'm Pete, and of course, Jaden over there. We're so glad. Welcome back to the Purpose Department, guys. We've got another episode today with a good friend of mine. His name is Jordan, and he is with Good Dude, Good Dad, and we had one of my good friends and also his good friend, Ben Briggs, and from Hidden House and stuff on the episode with us, quite a few episodes. That I think we called it was like Press Play, and really just learning how to plug it in life, and it was such a great episode. Encourage you guys to check it out. But Jordan, dude, welcome, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm nervous for sure, but I'm excited. I'm hoping I can bring some good content for you guys.
Well,
he is pretty scary.
So. Yeah.
No, I ain't scary. Hey, I'm just trying to prior to a previous clip right before we just went live, I'm trying to figure out how I can actually be like your sugar daddy, dude. This is hilarious. So anyway, we're gonna have to show that clip as well, just because it's all in good love. Ben, love you, bro. But Jordan, so glad to have you. It was great texting you and calling you and be like, hey, I don't know what you got going on your schedule. I know we're in the new year, but I would love to have you on. And welcome to Purpose Department, bro. And I love how you're repping Good Dude, Good Dad.
Yeah, shameless plug.
It's shameless, all good.
So it's one of the 3 shirts that I wear. Like I'm either in like Hidden House, Cafe Hermosa, or Good Dude, Good Dad.
But hey, at least you've always got the black.
I do.
The black color code down.
It's because my sugar daddy Ben. He makes all our clothing for all our different all our different brands, and because he only wears black. So now my entire closet is just black. But that's okay. I'm okay with it.
I mean,
it works good.
Yeah, I mean, black is good.
Yeah,
black
good,
is slimming, so it works out real well.
He's like Johnny Cash.
Tell me to stop wearing black clothes.
Yeah, bro. I'm taking the look right now.
Dude, he's got it going right now, man.
He's got some colors.
Yeah.
All right. So,
what's this question you got? Let's go.
Yeah, I know this question. All right.
See, he already knows. He's actually watched a few episodes.
I know.
So he's like, oh, yeah, I'm ready for this question.
Okay, so you've done your research, and this is why I'm going to give you a different question today. If you woke up tomorrow with the ability to instantly master any skill, but you could only choose one, which one would it be and why?
Ooh.
But there's a catch.
What's the catch?
I'll tell you the catch after. You just have to tell me.
Well, it's going to kind of depend on what I'm going to say. I would say understanding women, but that's you can never
skill.
fully understand women. Oh man, that actually probably would be it. No, to master one skill set.
Yeah. Anything.
Like a master guitar player. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I love music. And I feel like there's always like that one person that used to make fun of that had a guitar that like brought it everywhere. But also like when you go on those camping trips, you're like, if you don't have that one person, you're also like, I need that one friend that could play guitar right now and like play some good music.
There you go.
That or sing, because I cannot sing for the life of me.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for admitting that. That takes a lot. Dude.
Yeah, it's like a coyote in a trash compactor.
I feel like you don't need the. I feel like you don't need the catch anymore because that's just pure honesty.
Yeah.
So there you go. Good.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want. No, I was curious about the catch.
Yeah. What's the catch? I want to know.
The catch was gonna be like, and why do you so desperately want to learn that skill?
Oh, if it's singing, it's because I sound like a coyote in a trash compactor, but I love it. I sing. We have the cafe, and so I sing constantly there, like not even thinking about it. Yeah. And the poor kids that have to listen to me that like work with us, I'm like, you guys are in my space. I'm singing. I'm sorry you have to hear this, but it is what it is.
It's my space.
It is my space.
You must listen to me.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
But yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So bro, why don't you tell us, for our crew, everyone who's listening, watching, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what you're doing. And we'll go from there.
Yeah. I don't know how in depth you guys want me to go.
We don't have to do like origin story or anything.
Oh, okay.
Like that,
so yeah, right now, long story short, I ended up branching into the entrepreneurial space actually very early on in life, when I was in my early teens, and had a decent success. And then as a family, we had a family business that just completely tanked. From there, it actually kind of led me into this weird journey of back to the entrepreneurial space. So, I worked on a boat, I worked on a ranch, I taught people how to ride horses. I worked at Starbucks for like a hot second, was a video editor, did all these random things. Long story short, ended up coming back to this place where basically the entrepreneurial spirit kind of got reignited in me. And so I took that journey, did it kind of on the side with another job that I was doing, like 9 to 5, and then I would do entrepreneurial stuff on the side.
Yeah.
Ended up having a stroke and almost dying.
When was this?
2021. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like,
so
Wow.
yeah. So ended up, sorry, that's a deeper conversation.
Yeah.
Had this the stroke, almost ended up dying. My kid's really young, but I came out of that, and I literally looked at my life and I was like, hey, like, I know God has a plan for my life, and I've always known that. We just need to go on a journey on figuring out what this is. And so now that you've had that terrifying experience, I want to jump into full entrepreneurial experience. So now that you had to deal with the horrifying, almost your husband dying, we're going to go into the financial version of that. So launched a credit card processing business that's been pretty good, that ended up reconnecting me kind of with Ben.
Okay.
And then from there, the stroke also led into me starting the Good Dude, Good Dad podcast.
Yeah.
Which turned into Ben hopping on and wanting to be a partner in that. So now we're doing that together. And then we have a cafe down in San Clemente called Cafe Hermosa that we have down there. And yeah, so I'm kind of, I was telling a customer today, I was like, I have horrible ADD. So having all these 3 different things that I have to juggle, like, helps with that, so that when I'm actually at home, I can be a sane human being.
Yeah.
But God bless my wife for dealing with.
I was gonna say your
with ups
wife,
and
and then you've got 3.
I have 3 kids.
Dang.
Yeah. I have a 4-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and a 3-month-old. So, and my wife is talking about our 4th already. So we'll probably have
Don't let her
another
capture
one.
you, bro.
No, I've already agreed to it. So
I think it's difficult enough with Makai,
Yeah.
like, as it is, having a 4-year-old.
yeah,
But man, that's insane.
that's like having 3 of him at home at the same time. It's our house is pure chaos. Like you just
chaos,
gotta,
diapers, lots of potty trips,
Yep,
and
yep.
everything else. Yeah.
yeah. I'll
How
save
are
you
you
a story for
sleeping?
that.
Yeah,
But yeah.
How are you sleeping?
I don't, but I've never slept. So, I worked on an ambulance. Well, I was telling you before, I worked on an ambulance for years, and that messed up my sleep schedule.
Okay.
And that's actually probably the best thing that ever could have happened to me with fatherhood, because my sleep schedule's already all off. So it's no big deal. I'm just up all hours of the night, and then every once in a while, I'll come home like yesterday and just pass out on the floor while playing with the kids, and my wife just leaves me there for about an hour, and then I'll come back and she's like, okay, we're good to go. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever.
But you've got the great equalizer too, because having the 4-month-old, all right? Right? Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember, now having 3 kids that have grown out of that stage, I love those days when I could take the young one, put it on, and just, that was my excuse to, the baby's resting. So, I just was trying to support it, and I fell asleep too. It was so relaxing.
That's the best part. So 2 of my kids were born in September, so we had them through the holiday months, and we go to the big holiday family parties, and I talk to people all day long. So I get I get peopled out sometimes, and so we go to these big holiday parties after I've worked all day long. And so then I just throw the newborn on my chest and oh guys, I'm sorry, they're sleeping, I can't talk right now. And so just quietly sit in the corner. But that's my cheating life hack.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's really comical. I know for my family and I, we have faith at the foundation of our lives and stuff with God and different things. And I always say, man, God has a sense of humor when it comes to some of these certain things, because, I went from full-time ministry then into full-time entrepreneurship. And, And after 20 years, of changing, and it was like, wow, okay, all right, here it goes. Like the
Right.
unexpected, no matter how good you try to plan,
Yeah.
no matter what, you never know what's going to happen.
Oh, 100%.
But what I've come to find out for me is I've actually absolutely loved being in this space,
Yeah.
and the people that I've gotten to meet, and the things that I've gotten to do, and all of that. And so, for you, bro, I mean, gosh, I remember you told me you had a health scare, but I didn't realize what
Yeah.
fully that was. So go ahead and give us a little bit. I mean, so the stroke in 2021, so this is right after the pandemic. We're in the heat of the pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was it was out of nowhere. I've always been a relatively, healthy guy.
Yeah.
Perfect? No, but I've definitely been a relatively healthy guy. I always stayed active. And at the time, I had just transitioned. I was working for banks. It was a job that I absolutely hated, and it supported us financially so that I could be entrepreneurial on the side. Left that and took another job that was very high stress in sales. Excuse me. But one week I just was having these like weird feelings. I just kept bumping my leg into things, which it sounds weird, but like all week, like I was stepping out of the bathtub one day and I like hit my shin on the bathtub, like the side of the bathtub, and I was like, oh, that's so weird. Or like I went to step and I would step weird, or I went to text, and for some reason I feel like every time I was texting, it was just my whole brain was just a little foggy.
Yeah.
And so that went on for like almost a full week, which actually we found out later ended up being mini strokes all throughout the week.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't, yeah. So, and it's stupid because being in the medical space, I should have known all that stuff was going on, but you never think it's going to be you. Like that's just, that's always how it works. So, one day, we're at home and, I'm just feeling really off. Like I remember trying to write an email and I was just like, I was typing out and I like looked up on the screen and half of it was words and half of it was just jumble. And I was just like, that's so weird. And so I went upstairs and I told my wife and I said, hey, if I come back upstairs for whatever reason, I'm going to need you to take me to the emergency room. I was like, something's not right. And she goes, okay, yeah, perfect. So I go downstairs. I'm about to like send my boss an email just saying like, hey, I'm going to take the rest of the day off because something's wrong. And go to sit at my desk and I fall out of my chair as I'm sitting down. I luckily catch myself and I realize I can't talk. Like I know what I want to say, but I can't, it won't physically come out of my mouth. So I go upstairs and I look at my wife and I remember just staring at her and just kept saying, I was like, I, and she was like, this is an emergency. I was like, yes. I just shook my head. Yes. She was like, we need to go to the hospital. I said, yes. So instead of calling 911, which is definitely what you should do if you're having a stroke, call 911. I didn't. I had my wife drive us. And long story short, I got to the hospital and they were like, yeah, you're having a massive stroke. Looks like you've had several other strokes. They wouldn't let my wife in the back. So they had to call her and they're like, hey, your husband's going to go into emergency brain surgery in like 10 minutes. You have to hurry up and get inside to say goodbye because we're not sure if he's going to live or not. So long story short, she almost didn't make it in. I kind of got enough of my speech back that I told the doctors I'm not going anywhere until I say goodbye to my wife. I was like, I have to. Like, I'm going to. So I still remember I handed her my wedding ring. I gave her a kiss and I said, hey, I love you. At the time, my oldest was a year and a half. Actually, no, he had just turned a year old.
Okay.
And we were supposed to do a gender reveal 2 days later for my now daughter. So I said, hey, here's my wedding ring. I love you. Tell Hudson I love him. And if I don't make it out, I've always loved both of you. And I gave him a kiss and they put me on a gurney. And I remember the last big thing I remember was I just, my dad was a pilot growing up. And so there was a pilot's prayer that says, dear Lord, please help me not to mess this up. And it was like a quick, simple prayer. And I just said, dear Lord, I was like, I have a wife. I take care of my mother-in-law. I have a small son and I have a baby on the way. You just need to figure this out. And, I don't know if you'll believe me or not, but a massive flood of like warm relief just came across my body.
Okay.
And I instantly just was, not scared anymore and not terrified and not nervous. And I just knew everything was going to be okay. And long story short, I come out of that surgery. Turns out I almost died on the operating table, one of the scariest surgeries my surgeon's done in 30 plus years of doing this. And I was like 100% okay. Literally, I woke up from surgery and I had no problems whatsoever. No deficits, no problems seeing, no problems talking, nothing. And it was like just a pure, like my doctor was like, I don't believe in God, but if I did, you'd make me believe. And I was like, well, you better start believing, dude, because that's what just happened. So yeah, that's kind of like, there's been a lot of key changing moments in my life, like a lot. But that one was something that just sent me down this journey of like, God's not done with me yet. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to figure out what he has planned from there and kind of just full send and see what happens after that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't mean to hit you guys that heavy right off the bat. But
no, dude, that's great. Like that's no, not like great, but like that's crazy.
Yeah, it's been cool. I mean, it gave me a second lease on life. Not that I took life for granted before. I was probably a little more stressed out, and at times it's kind of funny because at times you think that like, oh, once you get your second lease on life, everything is just through rose-colored glasses, and that's 100% not what life is. It's not always rose-colored glasses. There's still moments where I get super frustrated with my kids, or I'm freaking out about money situations, or like right now I was telling you about the cafe. Yeah. I get annoyed with cafe stuff, or I mean, there's still so many things that I don't feel like I'm qualified to be talking about or qualified to be doing, but I'm slowly realizing that God qualifies the called, not called's the qualified. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just I'm learning as I go that, what God has planned for me, what I'm supposed to do on this earth that'll help make an impact for his kingdom. I didn't mean to get, I don't know. I know you guys are a faith-based, but I don't know if you're a faith-based podcast, but that's just my perspective on it. But, yeah, man, I'm just letting God qualify me as he calls me, and we're figuring it out as we go along.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what you were talking about, there's a couple things I guess I'd love to kind of dive into a little bit. The idea of, and maybe for those of you guys who are watching, if you've ever had those super tense moments, those moments that were literally out of your control. And I don't know, I want to kind of press in a little bit about how you described how, you pray that simple prayer. And I don't think there's any exact words and stuff that you need to say or different things like that. But you pray these words, but you pray something deep down from your heart. But I'd love to, I guess, just ask you that feeling that you felt. Where you're like just this, what I would call peace.
Yeah.
Because I know so many of us, especially in life, there are times and situations that are going to come along our way where all we would desperately want in those moments is just for a little bit of peace.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Can we dive into a little bit of that? I just, it was just, I don't know, just talking a little bit about that. Like,
yeah, I think it was a rare moment. So let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, we had a business that just failed, and it failed hard. Like, I mean, it failed so hard that we lost our home, and like my mom, my sister, my dad and I, we moved into a 24-foot by 8-foot trailer. We ran out of gas on the side of the road because we were driving from one camping spot, because you could only live there for 2 weeks, to another camping spot to live for 2 weeks until we got kicked out to move to another camping spot. We were eating one meal a day, my dad and I, so that my sister and my mom could eat more, like working almost like 18-hour days.
Yeah.
Like just crazy. And so I learned pretty early on that there's just moments in life that you can control, but you can't control, it's you can control your response to how they happen. So there was just things in life that it took a downturn, and we hit the lowest of the low. And so that moment that time in my life when we were just so down and we've crawled our way back out of it, set this like weird mindset in my brain of just, I will always figure it out and God will always figure it out. Listen, maybe it's not I will always figure it out, but God will always figure it out. And it might be not be the second, it might not be 5 years from now, it might not be 3 years from now. Who knows what it's going to be, but we're going to figure this thing out together. So I've always had that weird confidence going into life after those moments. And so when I was in that moment of just hitting rock bottom again, rock bottom, not in the traditional sense of like, you're a drug addict on the side of the street, or like, at that point I was actually turning my life around towards the Lord. I had just reconnected, really, like my wife and I had really started pressing back into church. Like we had just gotten back to a church I felt like we were growing in and we were getting to be a part of. And like I wasn't at that moment in my life where you would consider it rock bottom. I actually was at a great job. Like it was more money than I've ever made. But I hit this point and it was like, I realized that feeling from back when we were in the church. I was like, I have no control over this situation. So when you're in those moments and you have no control whatsoever, lucky for me that I grew up in a household that taught me about God's love and taught me about his faithfulness and taught me about his, his mercy. To me, I had no other choice but to give it up, and I think maybe that's what brought me peace, is that I literally knew that I had no other choice, but I knew somebody who did. And I knew somebody that had the power to fix it. And I knew somebody that had the power to turn everything around in a moment. And so just a full surrender at that moment. And if you tell me like, how would you full surrender? Like if someone's asking, how do I full surrender? I'll be honest, I don't know. I just knew at that moment I had no other choice. Yeah. And so just that, there's a realization in my mind that I was like, I can either give up and die, or I can put my hope in God and just, handle whatever comes next.
Yeah. I know some people who have had those moments where they came to this wall on the road, and they got to a point where their surrender was letting go, but not knowing what was next, or not knowing who to give it to or what to, they let go the desire for hope. And then I've known people, and then even in my life, where I've had those same opportunities to come to that brick wall, to that dead end, to where I had to make a choice. Do I just give up and don't grasp for hope anymore? Don't reach for something that I know that there's more? Or do I fight for something and say, you know what, I've got to surrender, and now I'm giving it to, me, it was, I gave it to God, because it was the idea of like, I'm in the same position. I don't know. I don't have any idea. I can't even put a finger on it. I have no understanding. There is no peace. But yet in that process of just surrender, and not just surrender as in giving up, but surrender as in, here, all of this weight, all of the stuff that I'm trying to comprehend, all this stuff that I'm trying to carry. Yeah. Now I'm going to place it in someone who is more than capable. Yeah. Right. So I don't know. That's kind of,
call me naive. I mean, like, in that moment, I chose to believe, or just chose to know what I know is true, that there is just one God that can heal or choose not to heal, that he can save life, or, sometimes it doesn't. It was really cool because before I had my stroke, I was fortunate enough to hear this amazing sermon at our church, and this wonderful, I want to have this pastor on my podcast, but long story short, his wife, they did all the right things, they made all the right moves, they did all the things that like Christians should do, and his wife ended up committing suicide after having some serious postpartum issues, and he just said at the moment, like, I was bawling, everybody in the room was bawling. He's like, God doesn't manufacture those moments, but he's not going to waste them. And so I just kind of surrendered to the fact that I knew that no matter what the outcome was, that it was going to be used for good, and that I just was going to wrap my mind around it. I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of weird now looking back on it versus being there in the moment, but it's just it was a full surrender to it. They're talking about like a full surrender, but a full surrender to hope.
Yeah.
You know, instead of a giving up on hope, it was a full surrender to hope.
Yeah.
It's like the exact
I
opposite.
love that. And I think that's the key perspective to really think about.
Yeah.
So two sides of the coin. When you're giving up to no longer grasp for hope, to grasp for anything anymore, or you're giving up because you've got hope.
Yeah. And I think there's that choice, you know, where people think giving up means giving up all hope, but I think giving up can also mean just giving up everything outside of hope, you know? I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but yeah.
So it's all like just so crazy. Like
Yeah.
I'm comprehending that like right now. I've had like moments like that where it's just like give up everything except for hope. Like maybe not that serious and not like that life threatening, but I've definitely had moments where I'm just like, okay, I just stop and I'm just going to say, God, take the wheel. God, I trust you with everything that I have. And those moments, I feel like those are what define you, because you can't ever really have a moment where you're in full control, because whenever you're in full control, your story is going to go how you want it to go. And it's always going to end up pretty bad, like no matter what. Because I've met a lot of people that were like, yeah, I just did my own thing and this happened and I'm kind of in a bad place right now. And I'm like, maybe it's because you tried to just go down the road of what you wanted to do. And like you tried to, yes, you can define your own purpose, right? But there's one person, one God, one man that will give you your purpose. You can never like define your own purpose. You have to try to find it out of something. And moments like that where you just give up all except for hope, then like everything kind of comes together and you find out like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to do this. And I feel like that's really powerful. It's just like you almost died and then you come out of that and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go do business. And it's just like, that's really crazy.
Yeah. And dude, I love that you said you had those moments and you're like, it's not the same. Everyone's hardest thing is the hardest thing they've went through until like, there's no comparison. Like that's one thing I've learned. And there's no comparison actually. Like I've done studies on it now where like in your brain, there's no comparison from one person's hardest thing to another person's hardest thing. So it's like when someone tries to connect like that, they're like, hey, I've been through something similar, but not as hard. It's like, it doesn't matter. In your brain, that was the hardest moment in your life and you fully surrendered. That's the same as the hardest moment in my life, fully surrendering.
Yeah.
It's all perspective, right? But just because I full surrendered and I came out of it and it sounds like, I came out of it and I was like, I know my calling now. We're just going to send it. That's not how it's been. I was telling my wife today, I was like, I'm going to be 34 this year. And we were reflecting on last year and I was like, I feel like I finally am figuring out who I am as a person at 33 years old. And I was like, that's such a sad state. I felt like it was such a sad statement to make. I was like, even after all the stuff we've been through, the strokes, all this different stuff, I was like, I finally feel like I'm figuring out myself at 33. And she was like, no, you know, some people never figure that out. And I'm like, oh, I guess that's true. But just because I came out of that moment, like I was saying earlier, it's not just all rose-colored glass. It's not like I had an epiphany that I knew, you know, I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still messing up daily. I'm still having to choose to surrender to peace because there's definite times where I'm up all night thinking about dumb business decisions I made because I did exactly what you said and I forced things, even though I know better, I forced things through to try to make them happen and then they turned out to be horrible, you know? So I think it's a constant surrender for that peace. I don't think it's a one-time thing either.
Yeah.
I love what you said as far as the truth. I wouldn't even say it's the idea, but I would call it a truth that so many of us, we tend to compare or contrast, like compare and contrast, like what you're going through to what I'm going through, and then downplaying or minimizing how deep those things actually are, right? Because, 20 pounds in the hands of a person who has gone through, 20 pounds. Let's just say like 75 pounds, right? Like a 75-pound dumbbell in the hands of a person who has gone through the process and the struggle and the tear and the buildup and the tear downs and all the different things of developing their muscles to curl 75 pounds can do it with ease compared to a person who hasn't done anything. But it's the situations and it's those moments that we're going through that develop perseverance, that develop inner strength, that develop character, that develop heart. and even mental mindset. And so for all of us, I love the fact that the truth in that, as far as we've got to stop comparing each of our struggles to the label that they bring. And in reality, we've got to think about the journey and the process that each person is going through to gain that mental clarity, to gain that confidence of who they actually can be or who they actually are, to gain that understanding of, you know what, these situations have happened in my life, but they're not going to stop me.
Right.
I'm going to find a way to keep moving forward. I'm going to live life better. I'm going to learn from my mistakes. And so I think what you said there is so true. And it's such an intricate piece of life that I think for a lot of us, and humanity fights for things like that. Like my inner humanity, like my humanness of who I am loves to hear those types of things because I see the heart and I see the struggle, and I may not be able to fully comprehend all of it, but I can empathize. And what do? I compare it just so that I can, but I think it's more along the lines of getting back into those emotional and mental connections of, ooh, what was my process like?
Yeah.
How did I navigate my own things? Now I can say, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
You know,
comparison is such a thief of joy.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to compare yourself against others and to compare, what they went through versus what you went through. And then on the flip side, as a person that went through someone, it's your ego that craves to be like, no, you don't know what I went through. Like, you don't know, like you want to sound more important than you are. I don't want to say that. Maybe not sound more important than you are, but you have that it's built into our humanity. We crave importance, like I think it's just built into after the fall or whatever, but insignificance. But yeah, it's building that connection between your life experience and someone else's life experience. Like you can take something that I said today, and now because we said, hey, like don't frame it as, oh, I've never been through that. You take it to an aspect of your life right now that you're like, I feel like could be the littlest thing, like I feel like I'm at the end of my rope with this bill that I have right here, and I have no hope in being able to pay this ever. I don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm stressing out, and just taking it and being like, hey, I'm going to fully surrender to the hope of God, or just the hope in that it's going to get worked out. It's all going to get worked out. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I think it's that hope, surrendering and giving it into the hands of God, but then understanding that just giving that and surrendering it to Him, it doesn't mean that that's the end.
Right.
That it's not done yet. There's still more to do. So the fact that you come out of the surgery, now you're going through, wow, I just had brain surgery. I just had all these different things. I almost died on the operating table. I've got a wife, a kid, a new baby that's coming along the way, all these different things. And so now you're looking at life with a different lens, a different perspective. And all of a sudden you've got this new motivation to say, you know what, I'm going to go full send and get back into the business space and the entrepreneurial thing. And now, like what you were just saying a little bit earlier, you've got your hand here, you've got another rod in the fire right over here, but it's like you're finding a sense of balance in that. And you're finding a sense of purpose in that and what you're doing. And I love how you were saying, I come home and now I get to be with my kids, and it helps you.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely helps my brain, just because I'm constantly finding myself bored of things and needing to do new things. And, my biggest test in life is being a dad. My biggest accomplishment in life is being a dad. Like if you would ask me growing up, they're like, hey, what do you want to be? And I'd always be like, I don't know, but I want to be a dad. So that's always been like my main goal, is to be the absolute best dad I can be. And I fall short constantly, but I'm trying, and I think part of it is that striving. But yeah, it's like you said, I come out of this and I'm trying to figure it all out as I go too. And I'm failing and I'm succeeding. And I'm, this year I have a lot of really, really big goals. Last year I missed most of my goals, which is okay, and it's, failing's never final, and it's not a bad thing as long as you learn from it, but it helps me, I do all those things, and I hope that when I get home, I'm able to be as present as I can be. You'll have to ask my wife, but it's a journey, man. It's a journey.
Yeah. And I would say too, right, with goals, this is the thing that breaks my heart when especially as we're in the new year, everybody sets out all their goals and all their things. And it's like,
gosh. Yeah. like everybody sets out all their goals, and I also wanted to like bring this up really quickly because you said empathize, don't compare.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's really cool because it's kind of like the entire like world is like your problems aren't as bad as his, your problems aren't as bad as hers, like your problems aren't as bad as theirs, like all of that. So I really think that people need to know that the best way, and I've talked to people who are going through like really crazy things, and I should have thought about that, but they were like they were like the best thing someone can do whenever they're talking to me is empathize with me, is just tell me that they know what I'm going through because they don't want to feel alone in that. So yeah. But what you were saying about like New Year's goals and stuff, it's kind of like people say like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to go and do this. And they do it for a little bit and then they stop. Like, or they do this for a little bit and then they kind of like fade out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you really need to apply yourself in order to get to where you want to go, right?
Yeah, I think you have to apply yourself. But here's the one thing the older that I get, I used to think goals were these final destinations.
Yeah.
When in reality, now for me at 42 and looking back, I realize a lot of those goals are almost they're just like mile markers. And so I don't know fully what my final destination will look like right here, right now on Earth and different things like that. But I do know that when I have these goals or I have these dreams, I would almost, I would like to go that direction and say, forget the goals. Here are my dreams. Here are my aspirations. This is my why.
Yeah.
And these are my values that make up who I am. As I try to live those out, as I overcome and get creative and innovative during the day and through relationships and meeting up with people like you, and these are now helping me those are those mile markers, those checkpoints of, because there is no set timeline. Like I've felt guilty as far as those moments where in my life I was thinking, all right, I set these goals out and I got to meet them in the year. Then I get to the end of the year and I feel like I've failed and I've messed up. And in reality, it's like my timeline, how I view things, there's perspective that I see in this circle of life is so small in comparison to how actually God sees it. Where in reality, like my wife and I, we were just talking about it the other day and we were sharing it with our pastor that one of our dreams, guess what? Not almost 20 years. And now we're finally seeing it happen. And I wrote it off.
Yeah.
You know, and we had 4 transitions in our life where we thought, okay, this could be it. And we came with the disappointment. We came with the sadness. We came with the, oh, well, that was just a dream. Mm-hmm. That was just a goal. That was just a desire. When in reality, there's something about perseverance and the long term.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only time. You know, hindsight's 2020. That is the only time where you actually begin to see all of those things actually come to fruition, all of those things actually starting to take shape, because it takes a long time sometimes for roots to develop. Oh, yeah. It takes a long time for you as a person and your character and your mindset, especially your mindset, to now be able to walk in such a way that you're able to shoulder the weight or shoulder the responsibility that comes with it.
Yeah, my wife and I talk about it all the time. I'm like, thank you, Lord, that you didn't answer some of the prayers that I had when I had them, because I definitely didn't have the strength to be able to handle what I was asking for. And it was like, lately we've even been talking more about, because I was having this conversation with the kids at the cafe today, because they're like, oh, what's your New Year's resolution? What's your New Year's resolution? And I've gotten more away from that now to the point where like, yeah, I have business goals, markers that I'd like to hit. You know, like I'm gonna put some check-ins with myself. I'm gonna write some steps out for the year to try to hit those things. But more what I try to focus on for the year is like a theme. You know, like God, like what do you want to see as a theme in my life? And last year was, you know, generosity, and I feel like this year is consistency. And I was like, okay, well, that theme consistency, how do I hit that in all areas of my life? You know, like, would it be awesome at the gym? Yeah, it would be. Would it be awesome in business? Yeah, it would be. Would it be awesome with my friendships though? Like, am I staying consistent with my friendships? Am I staying consistent with, making sure my wife knows she feels needed, appreciated, and loved? Or, you know, am I staying consistent with, you know, raising my kids the way that I think they should be raised and trying to instill values in them? So for me, as I'm getting older and I'm, you know, as I'm coming to a new year every year, you know, I kind of look at it more as like, yeah, that's a mile marker and a stepping stone, but it's something that I should be focused the growth that you want to see, you should be focused on throughout the entire year. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't need January 1st to hit that, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
I definitely think falling into that trap, not even a trap, but just that idea of, oh, January is the only time that I can strive for something new, the only time I can strive for something different or to grow. And we have so many more opportunities that we don't have to just rest on those particular moments.
Right.
But in reality, we have more than enough creativity and desire and ability to actually create our own moments so that we can grow, so that we can be better than we were yesterday.
Yeah.
You know? And so I love that, man. I love that. I mean, just thinking about all the stuff that, you know, I'd love to know, you know, now that you've stepped in full send and, you know, and you're just a few years into this now. I mean, what are some of the really cool things that you've gotten to experience, or things that you learned about yourself as you've kind of taken these steps, like what you've learned in that process?
Yeah. Probably one of the coolest experiences I had was, and I'm not telling anyone to do this because this is a horrible business financial idea. When I decided I was going to step out and do my business, I'm very confident in my abilities to accomplish what I know I need to get done. And I took out a business loan to start my business, my payment processing stuff. But I took almost a year off.
Oh.
I took almost a year off, and I lived off of that business loan. Now, that is a horrible idea.
Bro, yeah.
So I'm not saying I took a whole year off. I definitely worked my business and I grew it, but I didn't give it the 110% that entrepreneurial people or entrepreneurs tell you need to give right off the bat. And this is not sound business advice, so don't follow it or do it.
So do this today, and if you act right now and spend $19.99, we'll give you some of the secrets to that success of what not to do.
Yeah. So this is probably, if you're if you have people that want advice, this is the worst advice you could have done. But I will never for a day regret it. I prioritized my family and my kids at that time, and it just that's what we needed at that moment. You know, we had gone through a lot with other family having health issues, and you know, we got married and immediately we're taking care of family members, and I had before that had put a lot of time into work. I worked a lot more than I should have been working, and then was trying to do entrepreneurial stuff on the side. So I was just constantly going, and what really needed to be fed at that moment was my family and my time with them. And so coming off the stroke, and I also just needed to recoup my body, because after a stroke and having brain surgery like that, it's very taxing on you. And I still tell my wife sometimes, I'm like, I think that's why I nap so hard randomly. Like we were home yesterday, and I was just sitting on the couch, and the next thing I know, I woke up like an hour and a half later, and I was like, it literally is like someone flips the switch and I just shut off like a computer, and then someone will flip the switch back on and I'm back awake, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? I have no idea what that was. But that's what my family needed at the time, and that's what my body needed. That's what my mind needed. And so I spent a lot of time with my family, at home, going to the beach, going up to Julian, going to Big Bear. I worked, but I definitely prioritized them over everything else. So not good advice, but that's what I did. And then taking on the responsibility of, I still need to feed my family. So, we hit a point where we were coming down towards the end of our money, and I hadn't built my income up to where I needed to be because I made that bad year of I made that decision. It's not bad or good. I just made that decision. Yeah. So then it's, okay, what do I do? Well, I take stupid little odds and ends jobs to make sure I pay all my bills and feed my family, because at the end of the day, I still have responsibilities. So it's just doing the non-glamorous things sometimes, like taking the non-glamorous jobs, taking on the client that you don't necessarily want to take on, but you painted yourself into that corner. And so you got to take responsibility for the choices that you made, and you got to take responsibility for your family. So, that's another thing I learned, is that you just sometimes need to suck up your ego and suck up your pride and do things that you wouldn't necessarily think that you want to do now that you're your own boss, And the last one is just to persevere. And maybe it's not going to look the way you thought it was going to look. I'm sitting here now. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for a while, but in this business, I've been sitting here for like almost 3 years now, and I'm realizing that it's not taking the route that I thought it was going to take. But I'm finding joy in that, and I'm finding peace in that, because I'm surrendering that to hope. Yeah. And I'm surrendering that to God, and just going, hey, I want to partner with you in what you got going on. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to sit back and do nothing. It means I'm going to work my butt off in the meantime. But I'm going to work my butt off, because a stone that's already rolling is easier to move than a stone that's sitting still. Yeah, so, so that's kind of the three things I learned.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, that's all. That's really, really cool. I like that. Like, kind of like knowing like where you want to go and like what you want to do, but like having to like knowing that you have to build yourself up to that is such like a powerful thing, because it shows that like wisdom, right? Because there's a lot of people out there that kind of just like go with the flow and then just say like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go do this instead, and then they like quit the job that they're at and they go do this, and then they end up like failing, and they don't put enough work in and like all of that stuff. But I think that's really cool, that because I've seen it with my dad, like where he's like, okay, I know where I want to be and I know where I want to go, and he works his butt off, like it's crazy. He just, so much respect for entrepreneurs. After seeing my dad do all this stuff that he does, kind of just like slaving away, doing everything that he can to possibly provide for us and then like get his company rolling. But I do think it's crazy that you had this entire experience, and then like out of it has come your business, and then you're working at the cafe, your like podcast, which is great, by the way. I love your podcast. But I feel like just those huge moments that we have really define us, and then we use those moments as like leverage to say, you know what, let's just go at it and see what's gonna happen. Yeah. So
that's kind of where I'm at. I didn't know that I was gonna do payment processing, but it ended up popping up just because I was open and trying to figure out what God had next. I didn't know I was going to end up at the cafe with Ben, but I just kind of followed what, I felt like God put on my heart next. Coming out of the stroke, I started the Good Dude, Good Dad podcast because at the time I thought there was a good chance I could still die. And I wanted to leave my son voice notes of what it was like to be a man and what it was like to stand on your values and what it was like to, what all the things that his dad stood for in case I wasn't there to remind him myself. Yeah. And then now it's turned into Ben and I and, an Instagram and a podcast and bringing guests on and having you on and getting to meet and share stories with all these amazing people when I honestly hate the sound of my own voice, despite how much I'm talking. And it was my biggest insecurity was to do a podcast and speak. It's the thing that I feel, like I said earlier, the least qualified to do is to talk or to give advice or to, I don't really think it's funny. I don't really think my story is all that important or special just I don't know why. I just never thought of it. It's just my life. I'm just like, well, I don't know. It's just life. It's just what happens. So yeah, man, it's just going with the punches.
Oh,
Going with the punches.
Yeah.
But
That's cool, man. I appreciate you coming in and sharing a lot of that, because I didn't know a good chunk of that. And what I do know and what I do see, it is pretty funny for a lot of us. I would agree with you. Sometimes I don't think my story means much either, just because that's my life. Those are the cards that I've dealt. I know the journey. I know the crushing. I know the bright moments, all the different things. What does bring me life, like my family and stuff like that. But right, what is that saying? Right, beauty is all in the eyes of the beholder.
100%.
And I think for each of us, and this is what I think is crazy about it, we're wired for relationship. And so how are we going to give people an opportunity to behold the story that's happening or unfolding or being written in our lives? We got to put it in people's hands.
Exactly.
Not to say like, here, I'm giving you my life, but this idea of I'm living my life and it's an open book. You can see it.
Yeah.
You can read it. You want to know a little bit more? We'll talk, ask questions, just like, but hearing what you've gone through and how you've grown and what you've experienced, and now you've taken those things to help fuel the fire for what is going on in your life now and what's next to that. Ultimately, right? You're taking care of you, your family. You're giving hope to guys, giving them an arena, a place where they can learn and be vulnerable, to have those moments where they understand, like, I don't have to be to try and compare myself to somebody else. I could be a good dude,
Yeah.
right? And I can. There's a way for me to be a good dad, because it's not you who determines how good of a dad that you are.
it's your kids.
It's your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not you who determines how good of a husband you are.
Mm.
It's your wife. I think sometimes if we can live our lives in such a way of just knowing that we do our best and that we're proud of the character that we are or that we're becoming, the rest of it will take care of itself.
That's good.
So I
That's a
appreciate it.
soundbite right there.
Yeah.
Dropping that knowledge.
Oh, dude.
There we
Love
go.
it. But
Yeah. Bro, all right. So, we'll have to talk about, because I had a couple other things I wanted to chat, but I know we got to get going and wrapping up here too. Plus I've got our special little guy, my Makai, Jaden's younger brother.
Hey, come here.
Come here, dude.
special
He's-
guest.
Yeah,
The
this
real
is
special guest.
You've probably heard some noises on this episode. It's
And,
took him
yeah.
to school today, and he was like, got a call from the teacher. He wasn't feeling good. Or you can take the headphones off real quick.
Here, Makai, take the
Are you
headphones
listening to
off.
Spider-Man? Yeah. Okay, you want to say hi?
Hi,
Can you tell everybody who you are?
my name is Makai.
Makai. Awesome. So, hey, this is our bundle of trouble and goodness and joy.
We
He's
might
so
have
good.
to do a mini episode.
We'll have to
with
do a
him.
little episode with you. Can you get Jordan Knuckles? Nice. But yeah, we'll have to get you back on, man, and bring you back, and we can chat some more. But why don't you go ahead and tell all of our viewers, listeners, and stuff, hey, how they can follow, and we'll drop in the stuff. We'll put in all the different things, like just to
Awesome.
support you
Where
and
they can find you.
where they can find you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for letting me come on and ramble. I talk a lot. You guys just saved my wife a whole earful later on. You can find me at Instagram. You can find us at Good Dude Good Dad. And gooddudegoodDad.com. We have merch there. That's our podcast, the Good Dude Good Dad podcast on all major platforms. Cafe Hermosa, I think it's Cafe Hermosa SC. I think that's our Instagram for that. You
Okay.
don't have to put that in. It's just the cafe.
Yeah.
And then Jordan Adent, I think, is my personal Instagram. It's just full of really silly videos. My wife and I basically had a bet a long time ago that I could hit 1 million views on a video. Her and I make the most ridiculous bets all the time. And so I started making videos making fun of her, and I hit that 1 million.
Bro,
and so
that's awesome.
I won. That was a while ago. So if you look back, I really haven't posted much since then. I hit 1 million and basically just stopped. And every once in a while, I'll
He's
just
like,
do a silly video. I was like,
win. Done.
So,
Goal accomplished.
Wait. What was the video that you got 1 million views on?
Oh, it was so silly. I think it was me. Oh my gosh, what was it? my kids, I think my kids are like running around on the sofa. This was like almost like right after my stroke too. So I have
Okay.
like no beard. My hair's all long and curly. And
What's
I think
that?
my kids are like running around behind me. And it was like something about me being super tired. It was just me, like me doing those voiceover videos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was just one of those.
Okay.
I think, I don't know.
One
I
of
had a
those
good string-
voiceovers. He's like, I'm not fond of my voice, but I got over 1 million hits on it,
Yeah,
and people
it was-
liked my voice.
Dude, I don't know. It was so weird. So I think that's my Instagram. I think it's Jordent, Jordent.
We'll put the correct
We
stuff
will
on there.
help you out. We will help you out.
As you can tell, I don't really care about really much of that stuff, except for the good dude, good dad stuff. I know that's
Yeah,
all.
good
all
dude,
right,
good dad
but-
stuff is great. I
Yeah.
love it. I
Dude.
absolutely love it. So
This was a crazy episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that story is just so like inspiring and just
man,
so
thank you.
cool.
Thank you guys.
Yep.
Well, thank
We're
you
gonna have
again
to
for
have
having
him
me
on again.
yeah, we'll have you on,
Yep.
and we'll find another opportunity to hang out too,
Yeah.
as well. Now that we're going in the new year and a lot of different stuff, but appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming and sharing your story. And for all of you guys who are watching, give us some likes, comments, subscribe, dropping episodes every single week. Now that we've been back, so but anyway, check out purposedepartment.com and you can follow there. Give us a like. But we're so glad to be able to do this with
Yeah.
you and jump in each and every single week now that we are really going on this, and appreciate you, Jay. So
Yeah.
until next time, guys.
Hey, Makai, do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Goodbye.
And with that,
if you don't subscribe because of this kid, shame on you. Anyway.
and with that, that was the Purpose Department podcast. Thank you for joining us and see you next time.